want to show you two motorcycles today to compare one bike to the other. I'll show you the changes I made to each bike. If you're considering a road bike, this is the CanAm Spyder. This is a 2014 model, it's 1330cc. I'll show you the modifications I had to make to it. It is an automatic, push button shift. And then over here, this is a GoldWing DCT. It's a 2018 model, and I'll show you the modifications I made to it. Now, both bikes are a good option for a disabled rider, so I'll show you what I found by riding each one, and I want to start off showing you the modifications I had to make to each bike. So let's start out looking at this CanAm Spyder. When I purchased this Spyder, all the controls were on the handlebar, and you just shift and go up and down in gears with your thumb and finger. So that was no problem. The only thing I had to do to this bike was to put a hand brake on it. If you take a look down at the foot here, you see that all the bike has is one foot brake. That foot brake controls all three tires. So the both front and the one rear did the foot brake. Well, that was a problem for me because I wasn't going to be able to use the foot brake. So I did find an aftermarket company that then took this hand brake, and they create this hand brake and they apply it to the same as the foot brake. So whenever I pull that hand brake, the foot brake will move. So here we're going to see that with this hand brake, as I put this, if you watch the foot pedal moves. The downside to this hand brake, you have to have a fairly good hand strength to use that brake. So you need a fairly good strength of a hand. If you don't have good hand strength, this is really not an option for you, because sometimes to stop quick, you have to pull this brake very hard. So other than this hand brake, this is really the only modification that had to be done for this three-wheeler. Let's take a look at the GoldWing. The GoldWing, the bike does not come as a three-wheel kit, so if you do get a GoldWing, you have to take it to a Trike company and get the two wheels added to the rear. Or if you find one that's already ready to go, this is a Honda, what's called a DCT, and so it is an automatic. It's a 7-speed automatic, but this one is fully automatic. You just put it in drive. You don't do any paddle shifting with your thumb, though you can if you want to. That is optional. But let's take a look at the modification I had to this. And again, the only modification to this other than getting it triked is that hand brake. So if we take a look here, this was the front brake of the bike. So whenever I got the Trike, it has a foot brake over here, or it had a foot brake over here, and then it had this hand brake. So this hand brake controlled only the front tire, and then the foot brake down here controlled the two rear tires, which was good, but not good for me. So if you look here where the foot brake was, I've had it totally removed, and I didn't want to worry about my foot sitting on the brake while I was driving. So we left the hand brake here, and this hand brake's going to control the front wheel. And then with the foot brake removed, I had a manufacturing company create a brake for my other side. So if we take a look over here to the other side, so here you can see that the brake was put on. Now this bike is normally an automatic, so being an automatic, it wouldn't have had a clutch. There would have been no lever here whatsoever. So what the company did was they went back and purchased a clutch with the reservoir, and then they took the line down and they tied in, and if you look down at the bottom, you'll see where the line tied into the foot brake. So now whenever I pull this left lever, the foot brake gets pressure to it. There is no foot brake there to move, but the pressure in the line happens. So by that happening, that controls all three wheels. So this one, it's a rear brake is what it normally would be, but it is controlling all three wheels of this bike. So this bike being an automatic, you just put it in drive, and then it does have a reverse mode also. You don't have to do any shifting whatsoever. It goes through seven speeds very smoothly. The other modification that was really done to both bikes for me was I had a backrest added. I needed the extra support, and the situation was happening where I would be riding and I need to let go with one hand to maybe scratch my face or adjust adjust something on the dash, and the problem was I couldn't hold my balance. So I did get a backrest added for each bike. On this bike, because the transfers are much harder, I had to get these bars added because I needed something to get to. When it comes to transferring, much easier to transfer onto the CanAm Spyder because you can get much closer to it. With this Trike, the rear fenders are kind of in the way, so you have to be a little bit better at transferring. And so with these added grab rails, that gave me something more to grab onto. So if you're comparing the two bikes side by side, to ride them down the road, totally different than the other. The CanAm Spyder is very responsive. And whenever you ride the CanAm Spyder and you make a slight turn to the right, slight turn to the left, the bike instantly makes that turn. And so if you don't have good balance, you're going to lose your balance on that turn. And my concern was on the Spyder that if I had to make that turn when I'm at high speed and I had to make a fast turn. So that's kind of why I was steering away from the Spyder, just because of my balance is not so good. I have to keep both hands on the handlebars and I have to really watch my fast turns. So I moved over to the GoldWing, and with the GoldWing, it steers a little smoother into turns. Because your front wheel sits out there, when you make a turn to the right, it doesn't instantly turn the bike really fast. The whole bike just takes a nice smooth turn. Whereas with the Spyder, when you make that turn, that bike just goes, it kind of reminds me of like driving a go-kart. It's also a lot like driving an ATV. So if you've driven an ATV much, the CanAm Spyder is just like taking an ATV and driving down the road in the way of the feel of the steering and the responsiveness. Now, the one problem I have with both bikes, or the one thing I don't like about this on both bikes, neither of the bike has any ability to lean. So you can lean your body a little bit with the bike, though you're not directed to by the manufacturer. You can lean your body a little bit to keep your balance, but because neither bike leans, it makes it a little bit harder for me. I've been riding bikes for many years. I've been in a wheelchair for 30 years, but in my first 20 years of life, I rode a bike, dirt bike, ATVs, many hours on the seat. So I have a lot of experience, and I can tell you that from riding these two bikes, the GoldWing or the Trike is a much better option for me, just because it's a safer option for me, because it's not so responsive in a turn. I did ride the Spyder for many years, so if you wanted to ride a Spyder, it could be a good option for you. But I like the Trike with the two wheels in the rear a little bit better. The only thing that I would really like to see, if I had the ability for the Trike to lean, that would really make it a much nicer ride for me. Both bikes have trailers. So I did get the trailer so that I could haul the wheelchair in the trailer. The trailers, very similar, but I do like the Spyder trailer better. They're both similar in size. This is a motor trike trailer. If we open it up, we see the door is not so easy to open. It's hard to reach, so it doesn't make it easy to open from a wheelchair. But I did get it open, and then you see there's plenty of room in there for a wheelchair, and then I just keep a wheelchair in here. Keep in mind that with either of these options, you're not able to go out riding by yourself and come to a stop and get your chair. With both of these options, the wheelchair is in the trailer. You need an able body with you. Get the chair, put it together, and bring it up to you. Some people don't like that, but when I ride, I always ride with another able body anyway, so I'll put them to that task. This was the CanAm trailer. It's a little bit smaller in size, but it is more accessible for you. The levers are here on the back to open up the front and the back. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop the back and the front here. And I can lift that up. This was very accessible to reach in, to get things out of. Much more accessible than the motor trike trailer. It's a little bit smaller in size, and it has a much smaller tire. I do carry a spare for this one, but I don't carry a spare for the other. And then this pops open like this, gives you access to the front also. Easy to close the door down. That if you're looking for an option to ride and you're going to consider the Spyder or GoldWing Trike, I hope this video has helped you to make a decision in what works best for you. And you can post any questions you might have for me below, and I'll help you out the best I can.